Good morning. My name is Alexander Kush, and welcome to Globevisa Meeting the Pros. Today, we have an exciting opportunity to sit down with Edward Clark, the CEO of the Nauru Citizenship by Investment Program Office. This is a great opportunity for us, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have a little conversation with us about Nauru. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex, and it's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be partnering with an agent such as Globevisa with such a global presence.
Thank you. Before I kick into citizenship, just quickly, straight to the point. Nauru. Tell us a little bit about Nauru, the country, the rationale behind the program. For us here in the Middle East, and I'm sure for a lot of people elsewhere in the world, Nauru is a very, let's say it's a very new place. Mm-hmm. It's very uncertain. A lot of people haven't even heard of Nauru. Mm-hmm. So give us a little bit about the country.
So it's not surprising that many people have not heard of Nauru. It is one of the more remote places in the world, and it is one of the smallest places in the world. But that being said, it is a beautiful country with a beautiful culture. So the island is on the equator, almost directly north of, if you draw a line between Australia and New Zealand, mm-hmm. and you go directly north until you hit the equator, you will find Nauru. So it is quite remote. It has a tiny population of around 12,000 people. So like I said, one of the world's smallest countries. And they are facing a lot of challenges in relation to climate change and tackling the climate crisis. And that is really why the program is here today, because many people on the island with climate change, for them it is existential. So the island is small. It was heavily mined over the last century for phosphate resources. That has left much of the island barren, so they can't grow their own crops. That's led to a very high obesity and diabetes rates. They have challenges in terms of waste management. A lot of everything that is imported to the island and then disposed of just gets piled up in rubbish dumps on the island. They have challenges in terms of saltwater contamination in their freshwater supply. A lot of the power on the island is generated by diesel generators, and they don't have solar energy storage. And then most importantly, with rising sea levels, 90% of the island live at low-lying coastal areas, and they're at risk of flooding with rising sea levels. So that is where we come in terms of the Nauru Economic and Climate Resilience Citizenship Program, in that we are raising funds through a citizenship by investment program for the government to help them address these challenges.
So, we can comfortably say that the citizenship by investment space is quite competitive. You have obviously competitors from the Caribbean, the well-established programs that many people know of and have heard of. Then when you have Vanuatu, obviously another Pacific island nation close by to Nauru. So really, in this very, let's say, congested environment, how does Nauru stand out? What's the competitive advantage, and what's the positioning that you've decided to take in this industry?
So you have to look at it in terms of the entire package. So firstly, the program existence in itself is designed to address the climate challenges of the island. And this is quite unique in itself, in that the initiative has a very specific project in mind, or broader initiative in mind in which to fund. And for many investors, and we have some coming through the pipeline already, that is a compelling enough reason for them to make that contribution anyway. For example, we have a family who doesn't need an alternative citizenship, mm-hmm. But they like the story and they want to make a contribution. And that, I think, is phenomenal for us. But of course, there are many other reasons why someone would want to invest. And I think when you look at the overall proposition for Nauru, the price point is competitive. Of course, visa-free travel is not as comprehensive as what you have in the Caribbean, but that is reflected by the price. We have a very efficient processing time, around 4 months. And just to give you an example on that, we started taking our first applications at the end of February, and I'm now at the point where I'm writing to the government for approval in principle for those first applications. We're in May now, and that's 2.5, 3 months' time, there or thereabouts, and so we are on track to meet those fast processing times.
Well, I mean, that's great. That's music to, I think, investors' ears, especially those that have been, let's say, facing issues and have heard about the delays facing the Caribbean programs specifically. So something around that 3 to 4 month mark is, I think, something that'll be really appealing for a lot of investors.
Absolutely. And just to add to that as well, you know, I come from a strong compliance background and banking background. I was previously the Chief Compliance Officer at HSBC in New Zealand, and so I'm bringing a lot of that professionalism and maturity to our Citizenship by Investment unit for Nauru. So we have strong due diligence procedures and controls, but at the same time, we're able to operate very efficiently. So we have an efficient process, but we don't feel that we compromise on the quality of the due diligence and checks. And this is really important because it ensures that we have a robust program that can stand the test of time and withstand whatever scrutiny from other governments or organizations.
Well, I mean, you raise a very important point, specifically talking about compliance and due diligence. Obviously, that has been a concern across the whole industry. The fact that certain, jurisdictions, either it could be the UK or the European Union, there's been a lot of talk regarding that the European Union might withdraw the visa waiver agreement with the Caribbean nations. I know that one of the main points of Nauru Citizenship is that there's visa-free access to the UK. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's very prized, I can imagine, by the Nauru government. And obviously that's a very attractive access for a lot of investors. Mm-hmm. I mean, how is Nauru tackling this stigma around citizenship by investment in relation to the UK and to other countries, and mitigating, perhaps potential risks and maintaining that visa-free access?
There are a couple of components here in terms of how we are managing the political situation. Firstly, you have to look at the design of the program, which is quite important. For example, firstly, the purpose of the program itself is to raise funds for climate change, and a lot of small island nations have massive challenges to actually raise the funds. So that in itself is really important for other governments to understand, is these are this is what countries like Nauru have to do in order to raise the funds. They don't want to be going out there with their arms out, begging for donations, or they don't want to be debt-ridden. So mm-hmm. These are the kind of initiatives that actually these countries have to do to raise the necessary funds, because it is existential. And other governments really need to acknowledge that. So that's important. Also, in terms of the risk management and robustness of the program, one of the things that we have done, and is really important for us to be able to communicate to other countries, so we put in place a financial crime risk assessment and program, and that looks at the risks in the industry from running a citizenship by investment program. We look at then the program design, and we assess the risks that are applicable to our program. We then look at the controls that we have to mitigate the risks that are inherent to a program such as this. Mm-hmm. And so in doing so, we can quite clearly demonstrate to other governments how we are assessing the risks and how we are mitigating the risks. And this gives them a lot of comfort in terms of how we're managing the program. And to give you an example, last year, the Financial Action Task Force sister arm in Asia Pacific, the Asia Pacific group, completed their mutual evaluation of Nauru. Now, this was before the citizenship program came into existence, but they do follow up plenary sessions with the country. And we met with Asia Pacific group to talk them through how we were running the program. And in demonstrating, the core of the program design, for example, we're not doing things like facilitating identity laundering, and demonstrating that we had assessed the risks and we had the right controls in place. That provided them with a lot of comfort, of course, without them going into detail and lifting the hood and really getting stuck into the operations. But on the surface, in terms of those discussions, it actually gave them a lot of confidence in terms of how the program was being run, and that's really important. And just a really live, practical example of how we are mitigating those risks. Specifically coming back to the UK as well, we are, of course, proactively engaging with the UK government and other governments to talk them through how we are running the program, to give them the confidence in the program.
Speaking of the visa-free destinations, such as the UK, can you give us a little bit of an insight? Is the government, perhaps your office, working with some new countries or new jurisdictions to add to the Nauru Citizenship visa-free list?
So yes, we are working with the Department of Foreign Affairs to negotiate with other countries whether that visa-free access can be expanded, but at this stage I can't really provide any more details. But one interesting development in relation to visa-free, following a recent Pacific Island forum, is that after getting a visa to Australia, you can then travel visa-free to New Zealand, as an example, with the Nauru passport. So there are some, it's a kind of obscure visa-free travel, as in you need to have a visa to another country first, but it does
That's
open
interesting.
up a little bit of additional access.
So once you have the Nauru citizenship and you have that Australian visa, then you get that visa-free access to New Zealand.
Correct.
That's a nice little touch. So let me ask you a little bit about the investments. I mean, what price point are we talking about, for example, for a single applicant, family of four, just for people to understand? I mean, what sort of investment are we talking about?
So the contribution that goes to the Nauru government is $105,000. And then on top of that, we have an application fee with an entry-level price of $25,000 and a due diligence fee for the main applicant of $10,000. For a family of four or a family of 5+, that price for the application fee ramps up a little bit. From memory, I think it is around $27,000 for a family of four, maybe $29,000 for a family of five for the application fee. And then the due diligence fee on top of that, again, will be an additional amount on top of that $10,000 for each family member, with a higher due diligence fee for a sibling. And we also have a separate due diligence fee if there is a sponsor or benefactor for the application, which is something that we permit.
Okay, there is a possibility for another family member perhaps to sponsor an investor for the program.
Correct, and I think there are many scenarios where this could apply. For example, it could be a business with a top-performing employee or executive, and the business may want to sponsor their application to enable them to maybe travel more freely if they're on a passport that doesn't allow them to do so, which makes it easier for them to do business. So that could be one example. It could be sponsored by a family trust, as an example, or it could be done by another family member as well.
But that's good. I mean, you're adding that, let's say, modern flexibility for a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs and businessmen,
Exactly.
to have their corporate side, sponsor their applications. I wanted to ask a little bit about the citizenship itself. Uh, as you know, in Vanuatu, for example, post citizenship, and in many countries, there's that ability to get those post citizenship services. It could be a national ID, a birth certificate issued from the jurisdiction, a police clearance certificate. Are there any post citizenship packages, services that an investor may expect from Nauru?
This is not something that we provide at the moment in terms of post-citizenship services, other than supporting applications for family members that are maybe born after the original application is made, or assisting the applicants in terms of renewing passports. So not a service that we're looking to provide at the moment. There may be something that we can do to provide guidance to our agents and your clients in terms of how they might go about obtaining these services on the island. For example, for bank accounts, driver's license, those kind of things. And at this point, without knowing the detail of what is required, one thing I might say is for certain services it may require actually being present on the island. But that I can't speak to at this point because I don't have the insights.
Fair enough. I mean, from all the citizenship by investment programs out there, what would you say, if you're put in the room with everyone, is the competitive, let's say, the competitive advantage of Nauru? I mean, what really makes the program stand out of the rest of the block?
For us, really, you have to look at it at the full package, right? Because I don't think there's any one thing that is entirely unique about the program. It's really, once you package it all together in terms of what it offers, it becomes quite compelling. And of course, as you know, there are many different reasons why someone might want an alternative citizenship or secondary citizenship. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Firstly, the purpose of the program is around raising funds for climate change, as we talked about. And as I mentioned, that's a compelling enough reason for some to want to make a contribution. We have a competitive price point. We have a fast turnaround time, which is important for clients. We have a very robust program itself that can stand up to integrity, and that gives your clients assurance that the program will be here for the long term. You're able to bring family members along, such as your parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren in the application. Your sibling as well, provided that they're unmarried. You're able to have a sponsor your application. So once you package up all of these, small things in terms of some of the policy decisions that we've made in the program design, it can become quite compelling. But I think some of these things can be really case by case in terms of what services your clients need.
I wanted to ask you, since the program has been launched, how has the market received the program? What is, for example, your feedback on the market, on investors? Are you happy with the progress that is being made, the performance that's being taken? And are there any steps, perhaps in the near future, that you're looking at to either enhance the program or perhaps maybe amplify the appeal to a broader market?
So, firstly, I would say yes, I'm very happy with how the program is progressing so far. So, as I mentioned earlier, we accepted our first applications at the end of February or early March. And since then, we've started to see volume increasing steadily, which I'm happy with. It's also given us time to make sure that the processes are embedded and that our team clearly understand what is required of them to make sure that everything is operating smoothly and as expected. And so far, I'm really pleased to say that to date, with a couple of minor hiccups or teething issues, as you can expect, everything is on track. And for the first applications, we're nearly at the point of getting the approval in principle, which I'm delighted about, and will be very excited to announce, hopefully soon, the first approved citizens through the program. I think the other thing that points to the demand is the number of interests that we've had from agents such as yourselves. So we've still been going through that agent licensing process, and there's a lot of interest from agents across the globe, and I think that helps point to how they see the program potential. So we're really excited. I'm really excited about seeing the volumes increase, and they steadily are, and I'm really excited about being able to announce shortly the first approved citizenship.
Wow, I mean, that would be great to see. Wow. I wanted to briefly touch on the licensed agent element of the program. For those who are perhaps, perhaps out in the blue, looking to invest, looking to acquire the citizenship, what are the steps that an investor must take? And I mean, what is the importance of having a licensed agent? How does that process take place from your side as the governing body that approves these agents? And obviously, what role do they play in supporting the program?
So licensed agents are an integral partner for the Nauru Economic and Climate Resilient Citizenship Program, in that the agents that we work with, firstly, we take steps to do due diligence on the agents to make sure that we are partnering with high quality professionals such as Globevisa. We look at the experience that they have, we look at their global presence, we look at their professionalism, and these are the kind of things that we consider when we're looking at the agents that we partner with. And the reason that we want to partner with high quality agents is because, firstly, they are such as yourselves, the experts in advising clients in terms of their citizenship or residency needs or mobility needs. And this is really where you come in. And of course, you have your access to local markets, you have your existing marketing channels, and this is not something that we as a program office can provide to directly. So we really rely on experts such as yourselves who understand the local markets and are connected with people in those markets. And that's why it's really important that we work with high quality agents such as Globevisa to connect us with those potential applicants.
Well, Edward Clark, thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to expanding on our beautiful partnership and obviously having the opportunity to build a better future for Nauru, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
very
much.
much, Alex.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and make sure to like and subscribe.